Every bad mistake and every lucky break that I fell into led me straight to you. Let's not drag this out. It won't save us now. You can tear me down. I want to hurt right now.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. We're here. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And with that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsors. Organic herbs and botanicals, skincare and edibles, wellness for body and mind. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. Ronald Records. From indie gems to classic hits, discover the heart of local music. With live shows all the time, up close and personal, and regular releases on their in-house label. Ronald Records. Supporting the community, one track at a time. All right, thank y'all so much for watching. Again, shout out The Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. With that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
Hi, I'm Leo London from The Domestics.
Hello.
Hey.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. And thank you for being the first person to do 2 tuned-in episodes on the show. I am so excited to talk about the new album, Leaves of Trash.
Leaves of Trash.
Yes, which is coming out. This will have come out, I think, either right before or right after it. It'll be right around the time of this, but it'll be the end of June for those of you watching in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And very excited, having gotten to listen to it. Y'all aren't ready if this hasn't come out yet. I really should know the schedule for this. Either way, thank you for being here. For those that are just watching who don't know you, tell us a little bit about, who you are, where you're from, what you do. Give us that like Tinder profile of your involvement in music.
Yeah, Tinder profile. Yeah, well, so I've been a songwriter for a lot of years, and I have a band called The Domestics.
Mm-hmm.
I put out a lot of records in the past 5 years, and this is the 18th release in like 5 years.
Damn.
It's been very busy.
Yeah.
And it's quite good. I'm very proud of this one.
Very much so.
And I think that it's going to be indicative of where I'm moving in the future. And yeah, I'm just going to keep putting out music. I don't care.
On top of all the work you've been doing, you've definitely, with this one, you really did dial in a sound for it, which we're going to kind of talk about in parts as we go through it and then wrap it at the end in full. But for those of you that watched the beginning of this episode, you probably heard the opening track, Atlas Hugged.
Atlas Hugged.
Which, when you're watching a movie and the credits open, and they open in such a way that just like it sets you up for the movie so perfectly that it almost makes the movie better. Like it adds that upward inflecting anticipation of just like you are now more excited because that presentation that had almost specifically nothing to do with the storyline of the movie at all.
Mm-hmm.
That is what this song did. Like just I'm talking before the keys even turned around in the beginning for the vocals to come in. I was like, oh, here is something. Here is the start of something.
Cool.
And you nailed it. I just thought it opened up so well. And as the song unfolds, it's so full. The piano, the way you like capture everything, everything complements itself so well. It was just a really powerful way to open up the album. And I am curious to know, please tell us anything you can about the track, and then what made you decide to make that the first track?
Yeah, I think that a lot of it had to do, I did do mostly I record everything in my own studio,
mm-hmm.
But I recorded the piano and drums for that song. Oh, and the Hammond organ at my buddy Kyle's studio, Robot Boy Records.
Mhm.
And, just he did it for free for like an afternoon. It took like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then I took the stems and then I mixed it and all that. I had him print some of the effects because he has some nice gear. So, yeah, it made, it was really exciting. When I wrote the song, I spent a whole afternoon listening to like the top 40 because I hadn't checked in on it in like a decade.
Fair.
And I was like, wow, lots of country pop country music. And, there was something I noticed that like almost all the songs had like a little clever lyrical turnaround in the choruses or something, so basically I was house sitting for my buddy Justin King, and his dog's name is Atlas, and anytime I play the piano he like puts his nose and tries to get me to stop. Beyond it being a joke about Atlas Shrugged, but it is that was a big part of it. And I just sat at the piano and I just wrote the lyrics out and recorded a demo, and I actually used the original lyric sheets to make the art piece that is part of the song.
Which we kind of barreled through the intro here.
Sure.
I didn't even get to bring up fully or correctly in the beginning. But yes, there is an art installment attached to every single track.
Yeah.
Very Gorillaz-esque.
Right on.
And
Take it.
yeah, and this first one, it's I got it here. It'll been on the screen at some point in this conversation. But it's a cot with it looks like a little small end table, a ball, a head.
Yep.
Model head. And a cassette player.
Yeah. So the cassette player is, I just wired the speaker cable into an exciter and then board that into so basically the head is just a speaker.
Yeah.
And the idea is that you lay on the cot and you can hold the head and it sings the song to you essentially.
Whoa, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Man, I will put, you sent descriptions of each one as well.
Yeah.
Which I meant to put in this. Did not get around to, so that's why they're here now. But I will, do you want me to put them on the screen?
Why not?
Cool. So you will have seen them on the screen during those songs happening to kind of tell you what you're looking at.
Yeah, I have no idea what it says, so please enjoy.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be fun. That'll be fun. I thought you broke them down real well.
Great.
But it is a super cool track, and I love that it was the way that you opened it up.
I think I picked it as the opener because it was the ballerest of the tracks.
It's such a good way to open it, and I think it leads to a really cool design as we get a little further into it. But let's go ahead. Let's check out the next track.
All right.
This one's called Born to Love.
Not by plane or a taxi on the ground, not by land and not by sea. I will never be free. It'll be my heart.
All right, we're back. That one was a rad track. I like that it opens up with like you and the acoustic guitar just straight away, whereas the other one kind of had a little bit more setup in it. And it was very present. It was very consistent. And then very shortly into the song, you just add these very thick vocal effects and those couple of like guitar layers to create this like chorus, essentially. It feels like the chorus of the track. But it happens like as quickly as it ends as quickly as it begins. And it just kind of falls back into the track. But now with these small layers, like you really just did a good job of kind of like pushing and pulling on like the edges of like what should be in this song when it's in its fullest form. And then you just kind of let it live in that in-between space in a really cool way. I thought it was a really interesting design for the track. Is there anything you can share with us about it?
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely inspired by like Nebraska by Springsteen. And I remember I went to like Portland Music Company and got a harmonica because I didn't have one in the right key, and I remember recording it to tape machine, and there was I had like a reverb unit that I'd gotten from somebody, and yeah, so it was really spooky sounding, and I really the song was recorded a while before, but I couldn't find a place to put it until now. So I'm really stoked but I've been playing it a long time.
Fair.
Like,
I guess I'm curious. This is kind of out of the realm of the regular questions here.
Sure.
how many songs did you have for the album by this time you decided that should be on the album as well?
Oh, good. I don't know. No, I have no idea. I mean, I feel like I always kind of have like a
Just a
fish
little,
bowl of
yeah.
songs to choose from, and you know, I write a lot. Well, at least I have. I've slowed down a little bit this year, but I've been busy doing other things. But
fair.
yeah, it's a constant. There's sort of like always a short list.
Yeah.
And then when I get to a certain point, I'm like, okay, these all kind of match up. This could be a thing, you know.
Okay.
It's not always the case. Sometimes I have a theme, sometimes, but, you know, sometimes it is sort of like, also, you know, let's pick the best songs.
No, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Especially once you have a large pile of cool tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, we'll get a super easy one out of the way here first.
Sure.
How did you pick the name of the album?
Oh, Leaves of Trash.
Yeah.
I've had that kicking around for a long time. I just well, you know, it's the joke, the Walt Whitman, you know, leaves of grass.
Mm.
You know, but it's like it's cheeky. It's I wouldn't say disparaging. I think that it's just I think it's important for an art-based sort of I don't want it to be too arch. I want it to have a sense of humor because I know what it sounds like. It's I don't want it to sound like a super, you know, I find it difficult to call myself an artist because I'm kind of a working class dude, and but it is, I do make art, and you know, I guess just to not be too highfalutin or something, you know, Leaves of Trash.
Fair. I dig that.
Yeah.
I dig that. It's well thought. And I mean, it's a cool name.
Yeah.
Just all things considered. And getting back to the art side of things, the one that goes along with this song, it looks like it's a heart covered in red and yellow. Is it tape?
Yeah, it was like
Paper mache?
Yeah, it's like streamers.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think what else is on that. So basically, you know,
there's small pieces of text, it looks like, as well.
Yeah, there's some lyrics I typed out, but there's also inside there's a speaker, and you listen to the heart with a stethoscope, and you can read the lyrics on the outside of the heart as well. And it's got I took some, you know, it's a lot of like patchwork with like what is it, Grey's Anatomy. I found some you know, some of those pictures in there. You know, I had no idea. I came up with the idea before, you know, this is my first art project in a sense, you know, and I had to learn a lot of stuff really fast because it took me about 4 months to get all of it together. And there was also, you know,
I mean,
most of it's recycled stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, 4 months feels pretty fast.
Yeah.
I mean, not
it felt long.
I was gonna say, yeah, when you're living every minute.
I'll tell you that I don't think that I could ever be the full-time artist because it doesn't give me the same dopamine kick.
Yeah.
You know, that music does, and it felt like work that you weren't getting paid for in a sense.
Art. When you get to like certain levels in visual art, it's definitely, you gotta love the process.
Yeah.
You've got to love like the ideas in the process.
Yeah, it's true. My best friend is a painter, and she enjoys all of that.
Yeah.
And you know, we lived together for years, and I'd have my studio in the kitchen, and then she would also want to be in the kitchen because it had the best light for painting. So it was, you know, it was a cute time.
Yeah,
but
it was the studio.
Yes, it was. Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, anyway.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. But now let's go ahead. Let's jump back into the next track here. This track's called Bloodstream.
Put me in your arms for a minute. I learned you through your lips. I read you through your skin.
All right, we're back. Now that track is rad. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, on how to describe the opening, because it's this really cool mix of like energetic and enthusiastic, but it meets this like layer of dissonance, just this light overtone that, like, you know that feeling when you're standing in line for a comedy show for a little too long and it's like cold outside, where you're like, you know what's there, like you have a reason to be there that like drives you to it, but there's just this thing there. And that track had that. But in a way where, like, as you listen to it, it almost feels like it's like deconstructing itself as it's adding things, as it's changing parts, and it's able to just create this really interesting duality sonically, which I think adds a lot to the track itself. And it all seems to kind of just do it in a way that it ties together well. And I think it does a good job of also even tying to the art piece well in that, where like you look at it and it's just, because this one it's the hand that's bleeding with the bass drum, which I thought is super cool that the bass drum does all the low end heavy lifting on top of the tires, and that just feels like there are so many. Those are all parts of things that when they are complete are so huge and so important, but them themselves are so deconstructed in the place where they are. That was just kind of what I took from it, and I want to share that.
Right on.
But per usual, do you have anything you'd like to share about this track?
Yeah, I got so the keyboard I got from my friend Dan, and he was trying to get me to fix it for him, and I couldn't figure it out, so there's some dead keys on it, but it just sounds cool, so I just held on to it, and he hasn't asked for it back.
If you're watching.
Yeah. Thanks, Dan. It basically came from just that arpeggio. You know, I'd written the song maybe the year before or two in LA, supposed to be on a record, and it just, the version that I had just wasn't very good. I just didn't like it. And I feel like I really landed the plane on this one. And it is a little bit. And it's all live. It's not an arpeggio. I'm playing all those parts.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't even nudge them around.
Oh, okay.
We're doing it live. That's not AI, kids.
There's definitely a feel of that kind of throughout the album in a really, really positive way.
Well, that's the joke I keep making is, you know, you think AI can sound as bad? Some of these tracks we can put together, you know. I mean, you know, God bless the violent femmes. You know, AI can't do that.
Facts. All right. Now, for this next one, what made you decide to go for a full album? I ask everybody. I know you've done so many at this point. I feel like it's a no-brainer. But what makes you continue to go full album?
Habit, muscle memory. You know, it's I like complete, you know, thematic things, you know.
Yes.
And I know that the culture has moved past it, and I don't care.
It's gonna come back.
I still think I'm right.
It's gonna come back.
And or I'll die wrong about it.
Yeah.
Who cares? I mean, you know, we're free to do what we want to do, and I want to make my dumb little records and my little art pieces, and it's fun. It's a nice life.
Yes. As you were putting the tracks together, did you have like a vision for the album from the start of it? Or was this one of those, like, you just had a grip of super tracks?
Honestly, I remember I was watching like a later season of Friends, and which gets so bad. It's like pretty much unwatchable.
Post petition.
Anyway, so, but this is honestly where the idea for the whole thing came from. Well, you know, and I developed it from this. Basically, I'm pretty sure it was Courtney Cox is listening to through the wall to hear what Joey is saying with the glass, and for some reason I was like, oh yeah, you know, you could just listen to, you know, that I just sort of like vamping on, you know, other ways that you could. So it was about the interpretation of sound, and then I was thinking about active listening, and then I was thinking about, like, you know, there are a lot of younger people that probably have never, you know, used tape machines or things like that, you know. So I was like, oh well, what if I made it like an experience where you can actually go through and listen to each song in its own specific way, and if that is valuable, who knows? But I thought that was the big part of the concept, and also I used some more lo-fi stuff on the back end of the record because the art pieces are less hi-fi. You know,
actually that's something really interesting that, like, I had noticed initially in the concept. Like, it's not like you like hide the fact, you know, obviously you are using these machines to play them. But what's cool is that people now are not unaware of the effect on sound these machines have. Like, that tape sound, everybody knows of it. Everybody knows what the record.
Yeah. Now we replicate it.
Yeah. Now we know. Yeah. But for them to experience these tracks through those actual things, through all those like physical platforms, they're not going to have those imitations. So it's actually going to dispel the imitating parts, the parts that are usually there that are done digitally.
Interesting.
That is a cool, I love that. I just kind of had to break that down out loud for me. That was great. That was for me, everybody. Sorry. But that is a really cool aspect to it, is they will now get to experience the trueness of what those things that are now being imitated sound like.
Yeah, it's like a visceral thing.
Yeah.
That is my goal for it.
I love that. Well, thank you for that. Now let's go ahead. We're going to jump ahead just a little bit for this next one.
Sure.
This next track's called Happy New Year, Baby.
Try my best to find you and never sleep again. Happy New Year, baby. Happiest in years.
All right, we're back. Now, at this point, we're about the halfway point of the album. It's the 5th track on there. And you've definitely given us a lot of vibes. You've different feels, different effects, different layers, different directions. But this is the first track in the album where like it feels almost like intentionally present without like the expectation of like delivering a next big part, where like it gives you the guitars, it gives you a little bit of keys. And what's coolest to me is that like while the track doesn't have a lot logistically, this is the first one where you get the full range of vocals. So like you don't have any like filter on it any direction, or like run it through like something that makes it feel like it's coming through a phone or a radio. And by doing that, it almost gives this like intimate peek into the song, like sonically, which complements the vulnerability of the subject matter. I don't know if you're a Motion City Soundtrack fan at all, but they had this track called "Hold Me Down," and it's just that there's this beautiful like simplistic somberness in that moment, and your song has that all the way through, and it's a really cool track. I really like it a lot.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Well,
oh, please. I was gonna say before we get into the next question, is there anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, totally. Well, it's I'm really glad that it had that effect, because I had recorded this song for a record 2 years before, or something like that. And it didn't make the record, and I had just orchestrated it. So there is a version of this that's like fully arranged and like and it's just too much, and it just kind of killed the vibe of the song. It's like it was like, it was just overindulgent, and
well, we actually have it right
behind this door. But my buddy Martin Melnick, who is done a lot of music videos for the Domestics and stuff. We go way back, and he loved the song, and inspired me to do a stripped down version of it.
Oh yeah,
and I trust his taste.
That can go a long way sometimes. Also, I'm a big fan of like I'm trying to get more people to like go back to old work and redo it in their now state of mind.
Yeah,
like I've heard a lot of I make it a point to listen to a lot of people's early stuff.
Yeah,
and there's a few tracks that I've heard where I'm like, this would be cool if you did it now. Like your abilities now would make this the coolest version. Like your abilities now would make this what this was meant to be when this was made. Yeah.
Sometimes it'd be like that.
Yeah. All right. Now, this is a newer question. I'm excited for this one. I didn't ask you this last time.
Okay.
Is there like a verse or a particular part of a track that you're like fond of that just like stands out to you
in
the album?
In the album? Yes. I think this is I was really proud of Call It Cheap Heat for the cheap seats in Atlas Hugged. I just thought that was cute. And I have to think what else is on there. Well, that whole couplet at the end of "Happy New Year, Baby," that if you put your hands back, you might find me. That was, I don't know if "lifted" is the word. Probably "lifted" is the word. Leonard Cohen, his Marianne was a big a muse for him, and she passed away shortly before he did, and he said something about reaching back. I'm not far behind you, or something like that. A sort of beautiful sentiment, and I was just moved by that, and I don't know. But the afters, that song is also, I think they in your second 20s is a pretty fun line. Yeah. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
I said words.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And actually, that segues well. Let's go ahead and jump into this next track. This track's called Afters.
Sound is on me. A long night, meet me at the afters. It's alright, meet me at the afters. A long night, meet me at the afters. It's alright, meet me at the afters.
All right, we're back. I really enjoyed this track. The subject matter, the instrumentation, the arrangement, the progression, how it like opens up with the most like inviting and almost like familiar guitar, and the tiny little bits that like supported along the way. Like everything just fell together so well for that track. But what I thought was a little interesting was it all feels lightly throttled. Like there's something like it just felt like it was kind of squeezed on both ends, and it was like it felt like the byproduct of after an evening of high energy that you don't want to stop. Like it like and it's crazy because the like even the art installment I think goes along with it really well.
Oh yeah, what's the
that one was it's the lamp with
with
the little with the little piano. And like the chords were like provided with it. But I don't know. There was something about this one where it was like it was so forward. Like you don't have to dive far to figure out the song. But even in the way that the music is given to you of the song kind of shares that similar sentiment, but it's so understandable. Like the song is so right there and present that I feel like everybody who listens to it, especially when they listen to it in the way that the installment provides, is going to take away something so like profoundly unique and individual to them because they understood it so fast. It has to come from like a focal point that they know so well. So for it to feel so familiar, just for my like for me listening, I have to imagine that, like I said, when everybody takes it in, there's going to be each thing that they're going to see is so specific to them, and it's going to be so full. And that's just something really cool for me.
Right on.
Yeah. Is there anything you can tell us about the track?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to do a vamp, because it's basically the same thing the whole time besides the bridge, which is, I want to throw a little tunesmithery in there, but I like a good back eight,
Yes.
a little breather, but then you can come in. Yeah, I just was trying to make something universal. I mean, it's it's based on, my life and true story kind of thing, but it's like, I felt like it was a universal feeling of, and like the concept of the afters, it also sort of, maybe in a more spiritual sense or something, like, meet you up around the bend or whatever. Right. And, I think that, I felt. Oh, I also had a cool. All of the guitar stuff that's played with a bow.
Cool.
It's a.
Is it an actual bow or an e-bow?
It's some stupid like double-sided short stick thing. This is it's hard to explain.
Gotcha.
Something I got from my buddy.
Okay, but it's like an actual like.
It is made for the guitar bow. To be a bow thing. Yeah, it's got. Horsehairs on it or something like that. But that's all that stuff is just using that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I was pretty stoked.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right, now we're gonna get you already touched on this earlier, so this can be a short one if you want, but just to knock out the technical side all in one place. You said you did it all in your space. You had some people working on little bits. Like, is it all mixed? Is it all mastered in the same space? Like,
Yeah.
take us through just the general production.
Sure. Well, I could almost all of it I did on my own. Besides Atlas Hugged, which has Kyle from Robot Boy Records, who did I guess I would say some engineering. And my buddy Colin Redmond did the master on a track we haven't covered yet. And Justin King, I don't know what the name of his studios is these days. It used to be Vinegar Hill in New York, but he's back in Oregon now. Yeah, he did the mix on Born to Love.
Gotcha.
A lot of songs in my noggin.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did spend I really did most of the mixing on my own, and which is something that, since I no longer work with Michael Finn, who still a great friend of mine, he was definitely the sound expert, and I have had to slowly cobble together the skills and the equipment, and it is a labor of love.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that as far as I can think about it, I think that makes the most sense.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. Now let's go ahead. We're gonna jump on into the next one. This track's called "In Any Light."
Tigers in the lip. I have a sympathetic heart that never gets it right, but I'd love you in every life.
All right, we're back. Now, as we traverse through the second half of this album, I think it's really cool how each track has its own feel. And this one had just this really big presence to it, and not in like an overbearing way. Like, it itself wasn't huge, but like the lead line opens up in just a certain way, and it makes it kind of like you get this like this point of attention, and then it combos with the guitar, and the way that like little keys line and the guitar line tie together, it felt so good. And there's also just a lot of movements. Each piece I feel like had something or was doing something, and then within that, all of the pieces play in and out of each other in just a really cool way. And also the track, I feel like it had a lot to say, but it didn't have to, so it didn't. But the actions of the song spoke really well, and so that kind of just gave it that fullness. Like, there was a real unity throughout the whole track. And what I thought was really cool is the art installment for it reflects that in a really interesting way.
Remind what it is.
It's just the record player.
Oh yeah.
So all your other ones have just these large bodies of symbolism in them some way either.
Yep.
And a lot of them have body parts.
Yep.
This one, the song has such a fullness to it that I feel like the best way to experience, that's on camera, is to have nothing distracting you.
Mm-hmm.
Not that the art installments are distractions, but they are in a way, they are meant to link you in a certain way.
Yeah, true.
For this track, I think the best way to experience it is the listened experience. So for you to have made a special pressing on vinyl that multiple people can share because even like you, as I haven't gotten to listen to this version, so those people will get this rare moment and experience of hearing this record.
Yeah,
they will get what is really, I think, the most beautiful essence of this song, which is that listened experience. Yeah, so
that's awesome.
Is there anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, well, the record was pressed by Kyler. Did you have him on your show?
Oh my gosh. Fortune Ave?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's a good dude.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, so I just printed 10 of them. Mm-hmm. And I've already given a couple away, but, just have a couple backups for, hopefully we do get to do this someplace at some point. But yeah, I really did try to make a beautiful crafted piece with this, because I sometimes play it down, but I'm pretty good at music. I was a very lonely child. I figured out how to do the stuffs, and I was like, we can change keys a little bit here and there. We can augment a minor, yada yada yada. And so I really wanted to go full Tunesmith on it, especially because it's following the afters, which is very much I don't want to say ham-fisted, but it's got a lot of heart.
Yes, very much so.
And not a lot of chords.
Very much so. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. Now, this next question, we're kind of getting close to the end, but I don't want to put this all the way at the end. I want to get this kind of right while we're in the thick of it.
Sure.
So this is probably the densest question in the interview. Okay. And I don't think this was a question at the time either.
Okay.
So this is new for you.
I'm ready for it. All right.
What does this album mean to you, and how do you want it to connect with other people?
I think it's the strongest thing I've done in a while. It feels very... Sometimes when you're making stuff, you're thinking about the audience.
Yeah.
And I feel like this was a situation where I didn't do that at all. And I just
so it was really just you the whole time.
I was just going for it and having, I would say fun, but I mean, there's also just an element of obsessiveness that I think comes from being somebody who makes art and shit like that all the time,
Yeah.
And I do hope that it's an enjoyable listen, because I did try to make the quality of the sound as good as I'm capable of doing at this point. It's music here is expensive. There's a lot of,
don't I know?
There's a lot of stuff that, I mean, even, studio time. I mean, how much are lockouts these days?
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like all the rent. So how you say how I want people to experience it?
Yeah.
I want them to experience it through the art installation.
Yes. Or I guess, what do you want them to take away from it?
I hope that I think that it's I hope that it's a cathartic experience. If I can be so bold.
That was a good way to put it, actually. Yeah. I think that nails it.
Great. Yeah. Listen.
All right, now we're going to go ahead. We're going to jump.
Quite good.
Yes. We're going to go ahead and we're going to jump into the second to last track now. This one's called Pretty Someday.
Sun won't go down, down, down. You tap a French fry to each shoulder. We're both royalty now. We made.
All right, we're back. Now, by this point, you've definitely established a sound for the album. And while there are plenty of the one-off sounds, there are also a handful of recurring ones. And this track kind of feels like you brought a lot of them together. Like you made a track that just lets them, they were all these prominent parts and you were like, all right, jam out. And you just held it down from the front for everybody in the back. Now I know most of this is you, so it's just you in the front and the back. But it felt like these sounds that had these prominences, you really gave a foot in this track. And the track itself is a little more bouncy. It's definitely, it's got a little bit more of that than the rest of the album for sure. But it also had this old time carefreeness to it that it feels like if you were watching a VHS camcorder video of somebody's family vacation in France. And that might be the weirdest take of that's my weird take of Tuned In.
Yeah.
That was and your music in general has this very visual element to it. I'm sure I've said it before, and I'm sure I'm going to say it in the wrap up here, but that was one of those ones where it's just that was so clear in my mind. And it's always cool to see I have appreciated your art installments with these because they're just another additional layer of visual. And I think the one for this one was the one where I was it almost feels like that way, but with like the items. Because this picture, this one's the one with it's the chair, a speaker, or a boombox,
An Atari, right?
Yeah, an Atari, and it looks like a bicycle wheel.
Yeah.
But like these are all. Well, I mean, I guess the chair minus the chair because that's just for sitting on.
Yes.
But all these things are things that like they have this nostalgic attachment of escape to them.
Mhm.
Like just like
Well, and the seagulls on all of the speaker, that's all part of that too.
Oh,
song,
true.
yeah.
True. So yeah, that's just like
I'm just yes-anding you.
I thought it tied together really well.
It was intentional.
So yes, now I will turn it over to you. Please share everything you can about it.
Yeah, well, it is jaunty, I will say, and it was a hard song to record. I was finally I feel like there was a better mix, like 3 mixes before this one, and I couldn't find it, but it's passable. The song I'm very proud of. I think it's a really good song. I really like the lyrics and all that childhood, sort of. It's like whimsy, but it's also wistful, it's like, it is trying to get back to that feeling of the excitement of, riding bikes and falling in love for the first time and being clumsy and acneed and it's, and sunburns, I remember them very well.
Oh man. That's an off-camera one.
Yeah.
Story to tell for days about that.
Yeah.
But yes, okay. Now, actually, that kind of segues well into this one. Got to ask you a difficult question now.
Okay.
What is your favorite track on the album?
Pillars.
Okay.
The last cut, and well, I won't say too much. We're probably going to talk about.
I was going to say, actually, that segues much too well.
Okay.
Why don't you go ahead, look into the camera for this last one, and introduce this track?
Hold on. Hi there. This next song is called Pillars by the Domestics.
Again. Swept up a broken mug and got myself dressed. The dog's laying on me. I think we're both depressed.
All right, we're back. What a great way to end the album. It wasn't overdone. It wasn't grandiose. It wasn't explosive, but it was tight. It was intimate. In the same way the last track felt like it was like a conglomeration of all the like big noticeable sounds. This just felt like all the foundation ones. The things that make this album truly special. It was like this like one last moment of the source of all the magic that you've kind of experienced through the whole thing. And I don't want to go too long in that concept because it's going to be basically all I'm going to say in my thoughts here. But that was kind of what I took away from the track, is it was almost like this like last hurrah of what made the album at its core, which I thought was like a great way to end the album. So I'm going to turn it over to you before I do my final thoughts.
Sure.
Tell us anything you can.
Well, I like Pillars is it's a song the song I wrote the year before, and there's a version with my other band Wonderlust with Stacey Catlane and I came up with the phone concept. There are only so many concepts of how you can get sound.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not that I thought a lot about it.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, this song is a phone song. It's like it is. So I actually went back to the demo and rearranged that. I think Justin Higgins did some mixing on it, or at least he was somehow involved in that. He has a studio in Eugene. The concept of Samson, the biblical character, it's like there's so many references to him in songs. You got Regina Spektor, Reverend Gary Davis, the Pixies, all this stuff, and I just have always I want to be in what do you call that? Like the repertoire of songs that are somehow involved with that. I don't know why. It's a genre. For me. And now I'm kind of rambling, but I'm very fond of the song, and I was very proud of the bridge in particular, and I it was a duet with Stacy, but I didn't mind having a version where I did it all by myself.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it is. Yeah. It's a super cool track.
All right, now you please.
I was going to say now I'm going to share with you my thoughts on the album as a whole.
All right.
I mean, first off, if you haven't gathered by me saying it many times, I really enjoyed this album on a singular level. It's something really special. It's deep, it's intimate, it's got emotions, and it does all of this without like sacrificing integrity. Like, I don't feel like you are just pandering to those feelings. And it's not a secret that you have like a true like drive and passion for what you do. Like, obviously you've been putting in the work and it continues to show. And like, even from an expanded view, this album is just a great reminder that the sounds we choose, when done with the right level of intentionality, they can tell the story that we want to share. And like your decision to add a visual layer that is also like on top of being aesthetic, it's also interactive, it's audible. It is, it's another way for you to perceive the album from a listen standpoint, not just from a visual standpoint. That's really special. That's a connection that you as the artist in the music realm, nobody else could do it the way that you would have done it. And so your version is arguably the most true to form. So to be able to offer that, to be able to take what is an audible platform and give it a visual stance to help people perceive it wider. Because it's not like if you look at the art, you know it more than if you don't. But you know something in addition. And that's really special. That's something that, I wish more people took the time to do, for sure. But also it's something I'll never be able to understand. So I really appreciate you taking the time to come here and explain it and just share your reasons for doing it, because there are some lines within all of our arts that we are not just programmed to be able to perceive, but we can all understand what people are saying. So thank you for taking the time to share this with us, and thank you for making it.
It's an honor and a privilege, my friend.
Yes. All right. But with that being said, we are going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. Why don't you go ahead and look straight at your camera, tell everybody how they can find you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You can find me on tour shortly. I think starting on June 20th. I'm on tour with a band called give me a second. Western American Music Incorporated. It's a super group of unknowns, and we are supporting each other's songs and just going down to San Francisco and back. And you can find all that information at Leo London Music or the Domestics Instagram. And I wish I had more to tell you. You can also find me down at the Circle K, and I'll be there all night. And thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the record.
Hell yeah! And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you want to put on while you're on here?
I want to say hi to my grandma.
Oh yeah,
hi grandma.
Oh yeah. All right. With that being said, I've got one last question to go. But before we do, I'm gonna steal the camera for just a second. As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to your interpretation.
Sure.
But what is an album that inspired you during the making of this album?
I'm going to say a bit, I've been listening to a lot of girly pop. I want, big, not totally, high brain chord progressions, and just very stark and honest lyrics. Unadulterated vocals. I wanted to do something really upfront, and I feel like the last record I put out was the opposite of that. It was very lo-fi. It was very, and intentionally so, because it is, everything I'm doing is a little bit anti-AI, but I wanted it to be intentional.
Mhm.
So I appreciated that is something you used in your wrap up, because, nothing has to happen. It didn't happen by accident. I did it on purpose.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
All right. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and get up on out of here.
All right.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And this has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Leo from the Domestics.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.